The crowd outside Buckingham Palace froze. Tension hung in the air. Carter Blake, a major in expensive clothes, strutted in front of the King's Guard, smirking. He grinned, waving his arms, hurling insults. The guardsman didn't move. "Come on, soldier, blink an eye." Carter chuckled, his tone becoming angrier. "Oh yes, I forgot. You're just a mannequin in uniform." The crowd murmured unhappily. The tourists looked at the guy in disgust, but no one interfered. He didn't stop. "Well, since you're not moving, let's see what you're made of." Carter swung his foot, aiming for the guardsman's knee. But at that moment a firm, confident voice sounded. "I wouldn't advise you to do that." The crowd gasped. A Hollywood actor, an action movie legend, stepped forward from the men. His gaze was cold and his voice was calm, but you could hear the threat in it. "If this guard can't answer you, then I will." Silence. Carter slowly lowered his foot, but it was too late. He had made a mistake. Buckingham Palace shone in the midday sun. Crowds of tourists were taking pictures, marveling at the grandeur of the building and the unwavering steadfastness of the King's Guard. He stood like a stone statue, perfect posture, gaze strictly forward. But there was one man among the tourists who didn't care about tradition or respect. Carter Blake was the 18-year-old son of a millionaire, used to having the world revolve around him. Dressed in expensive clothes, with a smug grin on his face, he stood in front of the guardsmen, lazily chewing gum. "These are like elite troops?" he said loudly, drawing the crowd's attention. "God, they don't even move." People began to look around. Some rolled their eyes, some moved away, realizing where this was going. "Come on, show me you're alive." Carter continued, clapping his hands in front of the guardsman's face. "What are you, a robot? Maybe the batteries are dead?" The guardsman didn't even blink. His stance was impeccable and his face impassive. Carter snorted. He wasn't used to being ignored. He took a step closer. "Okay, let's check." He reached out a hand to the medals on the guardsman's chest. As soon as his fingers came closer, the guardsman stepped forward sharply, placing the rifle on the ground with a clatter. Bang! Carter instinctively recoiled, nearly tripping. There was consternation in his eyes. The crowd murmured approvingly. Some even clapped. "Wow, he's moving." Carter quickly regained his smug smile, though his cheeks still burned with humiliation. He turned back to the audience, trying to make a show of it again. "All right, we've seen that trick. But what if?" Carter slowly backed up a step, swung his foot. He was about to hit the guard. But before his foot could fly forward, a low, cold voice sounded. "I wouldn't advise you to do that." The crowd gasped. From among the people, a Hollywood actor stepped forward. A man Carter knew well. An action movie legend. His gaze was steely and his voice sounded like a warning. "If this guardsman can't answer you," he took a step closer, "then I will." Carter felt a chill run down his back. Carter froze, his raised leg hanging in the air. The crowd fell silent. There he stood before him, a man Carter was used to seeing only on the movie screen. An action movie legend. Someone whose name had rattled around the world. A Hollywood actor. "Put your foot down, kid." The voice was calm, but there was a sense of menace in it. Carter swallowed, but the smirk didn't go away. He was used to lashing out, used to being in charge of the room. "Oh, come on." He laughed, putting his foot down theatrically. "We have a celebrity guest here, too?" "Wait a minute." He feigned exaggerated surprise. "That's... Oh, I recognize you. Dude, your movies are great, but this is real life. I'm just having fun." The actor didn't respond. He just stared, and that look was driving Carter into the ground. The silence dragged on. The crowd was no longer just watching. People froze, sensing that something serious was about to happen. All right, relax, boss," Carter chuckled, trying to regain control of the situation. "I just wanted to check out what these guys can do. They stand like mannequins, don't they?" The guardsman didn't flinch. He remained as steadfast as a rock. "You don't understand," the actor said calmly, taking a step closer. "These dummies are real soldiers. Every one of them has undergone training you can't even dream of." Carter rolled his eyes. "Oh, here we go," he said. "Now there will be a sermon about honor, duty, discipline. Buddy, you're in Hollywood filming fights, not fighting. What right do you have to tell me what to do?" Wrong words. The actor's face didn't change, but the crowd caught the faint tension in his jaw. "What rights do I have?" He stepped forward. Now they were standing almost right next to each other. Carter suddenly realized how small he was next to him. Writes because I respected guys like him. The actor nodded toward the guardsman. Because I've met soldiers who were willing to give their lives while you're whining for attention. The crowd buzzed. People looked back and forth at the actor, then at Carter. The guy felt a chill run down his spine. He wanted to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. You think if he doesn't respond, he's weak? The actor continued, his voice like a taut string. No, boy. He's stronger than you. Because real strength is control, not cheap ponces. Carter blushed. He was getting trashed in front of a crowd. He couldn't let that happen. Oh, come on. He snorted, feeling himself losing control. What are you going to do anyway? Give me a lesson? Mistake. The actor's eyes squinted. You have no idea what it means to truly stand for something, do you? But that's okay. He leaned forward a little, adding, almost in a whisper, you're about to find out. Carter swallowed. The crowd held its breath. Carter felt something in him tremble. His self-confidence, fueled by his father's money and permissiveness, had cracked. But the crowd was watching. The cameras were pointed at him. To back down now would make him look weak. So what are you going to do? Carter smirked, but nervousness slid into his voice. The actor only stared. Silence. Tension thickened like a storm cloud before the storm. Okay, got it. Carter threw up his hands. You're giving me a moral lecture, aren't you? You're an actor, not a soldier. You can beat up a bunch of bad guys in the movies, but this is real life. The crowd froze. The actor slowly took a step forward. You're right. The voice was calm, but there was something dangerous in it. I'm not a soldier. But I know what respect is. And I know that if you cross the line, it ends badly for you. Carter snorted. Oh, relax. It's just a show. It's not like I hurt anyone. The actor nodded. For now. Carter felt his insides tighten. But he had already gone too far. Anger was boiling up inside. At the damn guard who hadn't even looked at him. At the actor who made him look like a laughingstock. At the crowd who clearly didn't side with him. He had to take back control. And he chose the worst way to do it. Okay, buddy, Carter stretched out with a wry grin. Let's do it this way. Since you're such an advocate of justice, maybe you can explain to me. Suddenly he lunged forward, grabbing the actor by the collar of his shirt. The crowd gasped. It all happened in a matter of seconds. The actor's hand jerked just barely. And before Carter realized what had happened, his hand was locked in an iron grip. More. Carter cried out because it felt like his bones were about to break. First mistake. Boy, the actor whispered. Never grab someone you don't know. Carter tried to break free, but the grip was steely. The actor looked straight into his eyes. Do you still think strength is about shouting the loudest? Carter jerked in panic, but instead of breaking free, he lost his balance. The next moment, he was already lying on the stone sidewalk. The crowd held its breath. Carter groaned, his wrist whimpering in pain, but the brunt of the blow was to his ego. He was on the ground, defeated in a split second. He was no longer in control of the situation. Get up, the actor said calmly, stepping back. And choose. Do you want to make another mistake? Or do you want to walk out of here the easy way? Carter looked up at him. For the first time in his life, he didn't know what to do. Carter was lying on the stone sidewalk of Buckingham Palace. The crowd around him seemed to freeze, waiting for his next move. His heart was pounding frantically. How could this happen? He had just wanted to have fun, to prove that the guardsman was nothing more than a mannequin. But now he himself was lying in the dust, and standing over him was not just some actor, but a man who had completely broken his self-confidence with a single move. Anger. Humiliation. But strongest of all was the feeling of fear. Get up, the actor repeated again. His voice remained calm, but there was a sense of steel in it. The crowd waited. The cameras were rolling. Carter couldn't leave like this. He couldn't look weak. He jumped to his feet faster than he realized what he was doing. Irritation boiled up inside, but he pulled on a grin. Okay, he said, wiping the dirt off his shirt with his palms. That's a good trick. But, I still don't see any real power here. Wrong choice. The actor tilted his head slowly, his eyes sparkling. You still don't get it, do you? He took a step forward. You thought power was about showing how tough you were? Yelling the loudest? Provoking those who can't respond? Every word cut Carter to the core. The crowd was no longer on his side. Strength is being able to control yourself, even when you're facing someone you want to put in their place. Carter felt his fists clench. Oh, I see you still want to prove something? Grinned the actor. Yes, you were Dash. Carter took a sharp step forward. Mistake. The actor didn't back down. Twitch, and you'll regret it. The voice was low, icy, threatening. And in that moment, Carter realized he wouldn't win. He had already lost. The crowd stared at him as if he was no longer the cocky rich man who could get away with anything. Anger was burning him from the inside out. But there was nothing more he could do. The Hollywood actor slowly straightened up. Do the right thing, Carter. Walk away. And at that moment, the thing he was most afraid of hearing came through. Apologize. Carter froze. The crowd gasped. This was worse than just walking away. It meant admitting defeat. The crowd continued to watch. The cameras were pointed at him. Carter felt that if he didn't say it louder, his humiliation would be worse. He clenched his fists, took a deep breath, and raised his head. I said I'm sorry, he repeated, trying to keep his voice firm. The words were hard to say. They were harder than any of the blows. The guardsman didn't react. He just stood there, as he should. But Carter realized it wasn't about the guardsman. It was about him. It was about the kind of man he wanted to be. I acted like a complete dash. He hesitated, then snorted. Like an idiot. The crowd began to whisper. Someone raised their eyebrows in surprise. No one expected him to actually admit his mistake. The Hollywood actor grinned slightly. Now that's right. Carter felt strangely relieved. As if, for the first time in his life, he had done something really right. But the moment wasn't over yet.